what the old ball joint looks like. You can see the nasty boot is trashed on it, and it's the original ball joint. So as you're doing the control arms, it actually just makes sense to replace the ball joints while you're at it. Here's the new ball joint. So you'll have to press these out, and you could use a ball joint press. It's like a giant C-clamp that's specially designed for pressing these things out, but it's a specialty tool that not everybody has in their own shop. My friend Gary has this 20-ton shop press, which comes in handy. If I had enough room in my garage, I would have a shop press as well, but I don't, because I don't have the room for it. So Gary is kind enough to let me borrow his. So the way to do it with the shop press is basically you have a piece of tube that's bigger than the bottom of this, and you're going to put that on the bottom of the control arm. So when you push from the top, this will actually come loose and push through the bottom here. Installing it is exactly the opposite. You're going to use a piece of pipe or tube or whatever that will fit on the bottom of this. So there we go, boom, just like that. And then put the A-arm on top, and then put this giant tube over the top of your A-arm. And as the press presses down, it'll push the A-arm onto your ball joint. So. All right, there it is. Now you want to make sure that that bottom piece there, you can see, is completely seated up against the control arm. And once you got that one pressed all the way in, now it's time to get the housings for the bushings pressed in. So here's the housing for the bushing. Now you want to do basically the same process. You want to put this on the bottom, and then the control arm over the top of this, and then a tube on the control arm to squeeze this all together.
It seems like it's perfect. All of us have sinned and falls over my desires. To need something that could take the sin to be comprehensible. And here I am, and here I am.
Alright, so there we got these sleeves pressed in. Those actually go all the way flat against here, so that collared piece is actually what holds it into the top part here. So big on the outside, little on the inside. And there's the other side. So make sure that's flat and flush against there. And then move on to the next one. Now this is the upper control arm. We do have to press in these sleeves though. Now these again go in from the outside towards the inside. And this one, it actually doesn't sit flush. This raised portion right here will actually stop up against this part of the controller. Okay, now to install the bushings on the lower control arm here. It says to do one side, put the bar through, and then put the sleeve on and the bushing, and then tighten the nut down, and then do the other side. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to tighten the nuts down all the way because I want to put it on the vehicle to help hold the bar in place as I torque down those nuts on the end. The kit comes with this grease. This stuff is super tacky, but you want to make sure that you coat the whole thing. This will keep your bushings from squeaking. You want to coat the inside of the sleeve, and you also want to coat the inside and outside of the bushing as it goes in, and then you have this sleeve that goes over the control arm bar. Now to get this lower control arm bar on here. It's super important. This, you can see inside of this little cup area here where the U-bolts hold that arm in there. There's a dowel on there. It's really important on this arm. On this arm, there are these holes right here. So obviously those holes are going to go up on that dowel right there. So once you get it all seated down, then these lower control arm shaft nuts, those get torqued down to 70 foot-pounds. The U-bolts, those nuts, those get torqued down to 85 foot-pounds. Now it's time to tackle the upper control arm. Now I've got this ball joint installed. These nuts and bolts, these nuts are actually torqued to 15 foot-pounds. And don't forget the Zerk fitting, the grease fitting on the top. And those will get attached up there. It's basically the same process. You want to put a bushing on one side and then the sleeve, and then do the nut just a little bit, and then try to wrestle it onto the other side. Put it on the vehicle, and then you can tighten them both back down. Now this upper control arm bar, you'll see how one side here is curved and one side is flat. That's because the curved side actually goes on this camber adjustment right here. This washer right there is concave. I'm not sure if you can tell, but that's where this curved side of this arm has got to go against that washer. So put this side against the towards the frame, against the washers for your camber adjustment. That's all torqued down. Now time to install the spindle, which we'll do the lower first so we can raise it up with the jack, or maybe we'll do the upper one first. I don't know. We'll give it a try. Oh yeah, before you do the spindle, make sure you put the spring in there. There's a little tab on the top that it needs to sit on, and then the little recess part on the bottom that it's got to go in there. And then you can do the spindle. Remember, tie rod arm for the steering goes towards the front of the vehicle. Oh yeah, don't forget your sway bar arm either. Alright, the spindle is on there. I got these king nuts tightened down. The top one gets torqued to 65 foot-pounds, and this bottom one is 75 foot-pounds. Don't forget your cotter pins. Make sure they go through there. Next step, tie rod and sway bar. And then the caliper can go back on there. And then we'll put the shock on, and then we're pretty well done. And there we go. It's all put back together. All done. I got everything torqued down. One of the things that you're going to want to do after you do this is drive it for 100 miles or so, or a little while, and then come back through and recheck all the torque settings on all of these nuts and bolts, especially those big ones on the control arm bars, upper and lower, and obviously these for your cam adjustment as well, and the shock and the sway bar, and you're good to go. Alright, so some final thoughts. This is a really kind of long, dirty, tough job. I've been at it for a week and my body is aching. So you can do this, and it is possible to make it work. I bought this kit from Summit Racing in California, and I found it on eBay for about 75 bucks, and they actually matched the price. They actually beat it by $1. And being in California, it only took a couple days to get here. The upper and lower ball joints I got from Jags, and they were actually cheaper than eBay, or pretty close. I paid extra for 2-day shipping because I was on a time crunch to get this done. It was 16 bucks for 2-day shipping, and those ball joints upper and lower for both sides. It came to about 119, 120 with shipping and stuff. So all together, you're just under $200. Now, I've seen cheaper ball joints. You could get the cheapies for less than $100, I think. It was worth it to me to spend a little bit more to get something made in USA and that I know is a good product. The Moog ball joints were highly recommended. You can also buy a cheaper urethane bushing kit. I think I saw one for around 50 something bucks on eBay. There again, to me it was worth getting the Energy suspension kit, paying the extra 25 bucks. It was worth it to me. However, how long it took me and how much I killed my body and probably took years off my life. You can buy upper and lower control arms. I've seen them anywhere for both sides. I think I saw them on eBay for like $300 or $400 for a cheap pair, on up to 5 or 6, or even for some really nice QA1 shocks. You know, you're on up to about $800 or $900. Is it worth it to rebuild the old ones versus just buying all new upper and lower A-arms that have the bushings and ball joints? Everything's all brand new. You just take these off and bolt the new ones on and you're done probably in a day or two. You're gonna have to decide that. Obviously, after doing this job, it was a lot more work than I thought, and it was pretty physically demanding. It is doable. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. The other thing too is with this kit, this Energy suspension kit, they gave you this little tub, this little tube thing that comes in the kit, and I may have put a little bit too much on the first bushing I did, but as you can see, it's all completely gone. I used pretty much every last drop of it. So be liberal with this, but not too liberal. As long as the surfaces have a coating on it, you should be fine. You would want to use as much as possible, but keep in mind you have 8 bushings and sleeves and housings that you need to cover. So kind of pace yourself with it. That's the only thing. I mean, I haven't driven it yet. That's what I'm fixing to do right now. So I'm going to take it out for a test drive, and so far just bouncing on the suspension, raising and lowering it off my jack, no squeaks or anything, and seems like it's pretty stout. So I'm excited to take it for a test drive and see how it actually works out. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this helps you, and keep working. See you next time.
Falling short. Falling short. Falling short. Falling short. Falling short.